Bonsai or Dubsado? Which one should you choose? Because honestly, both these tools have the same features. Both of them have proposals, contracts, invoices, integrations, right? They're both meant for freelancers. So, what is the difference between the two? That's exactly what I'm going to answer to you today. I've been evaluating both these tools for a while, right? And just like you, I was in the same place, right? I'm a freelancer, I'm a marketing consultant, and I operate under a brand called Early Stage Marketing. And I was looking to take my freelance business to the next level. So I did evaluate Bonsai versus Dubsado and ultimately chose Bonsai. I'm going to share my reasons why, but just to keep it completely unbiased and transparent and raw, I am going to do another analysis of Bonsai versus Dubsado on a bunch of parameters. Mainly how to create a proposal, contract, invoices. I think these are the three that are probably the most important for me. I'm going to look at the overall look and feel, the user interface, how easy is it to use on both the platforms. I'm going to look at their integrations. I'm going to look at their pricing, value for money, and I'm just going to look at any additional features they have because I know they have workflows and automations and scheduling tools, and there's a bunch of stuff in there. And I'm just going to compare both of them on these parameters and just decide on each parameter which one is better and which one is not, right? And ultimately, at the end, we're going to add these up to see which one ultimately wins between the two. All right, does that sound like a good deal? Let's get started. Now, before we start, if you're running short on time, I don't want you to wait till the end of the video to get the answer, right? So, here's a quick summary. Bonsai works for people who want a full solution. You really care about how your brand looks like to your clients. You really want to look like a featured business. And you also want to eliminate a lot of tools. If you're using a toggle for tracking, time tracking, and if you're using a Calendly for your calendar scheduling, and if you're using a different tool for accounting, and a different tool for project management, and a different tool for proposals and contracts, you basically get rid of all of those subscription and you get Bonsai, right? Dubsado, on the other hand, I think where their strengths are is that first of all, their invoicing features are really advanced. I think Dubsado is also great if you're very particular about white labeling, right? If you want your the URL also to be specific to your brand, if you want every little aspect of your overall freelance journey to be tailored to your brand, if you ask for my opinion, I find Bonsai way better than Dubsado. This is my personal opinion. Their user interface, absolutely amazing. Their Once you kind of log in, it's so minimalistic and it's just so obvious to find what you need. Even in terms of features, you get more. In terms of maturity of tools and solutions, you get more, right? And just from I think those purposes, like whenever a freelancer comes to me asking for recommendations, I always tell them Bonsai, right? So that's my analysis. Okay, so this is what Dubsado's user interface looks like, right? So you've got projects, so you've got like the tools on the left, and then you have like, this dashboard once you log in, and then you have an inbox in here, notification settings, help, all of that. And these are like more specific brand related details. And then you've got like this one common search bar where you can search for a project, right? So let's kind of get started, right? So let's say I want to first add a client to Dubsado. How do I do that? So usually what we'll do here is we'll go into projects and I'm going to start a new project. So let's say, so I'm a marketing consultant, right? So I'm going to, let's say, take SEO as my project, right? SEO consulting, right? Now, this is where you can, at least from what I found, I think this is probably the best way to add a client. So you can either choose like an existing client or create a new client. So let me create a new client here. Now I can put a contact name or I can put a company name. This is super interesting because sometimes you're working with individuals and sometimes you're working with businesses, right? So, for example, if I'm doing SEO consulting or marketing work, I'm mostly doing it for businesses. But let's say if you're, a wedding planner, right? You're not working with a business, you're working with individuals, right? So your client could be just an individual name. So I think they've thought through those details. So in this case, I'm just going to use a business name, right? Just to have fun, let's call it Star Wars. And all right, Luke at starwars.com. Let's add a phone number. Now, where's the project at right now? Right. So I don't think so. I think I need to add statuses in here. So let's just skip past this. If there's any particular tag, right? So let's say my tag could be either SaaS or something else. Let me just create a new tag. Talk about entertainment. Let me choose a nice color. Let's take orange. So that's going to be my tag, entertainment. And I believe I can add multiple tags too, but let's just keep it at this. And I'm going to add a note here saying that the big client. Now I can also add dates in here. So if this project has a limited time frame, right? If it doesn't, if you don't know what the end date is, you could just not add a date, right? So I'm just going to keep it to this. Oh, I think I've added. Oh, I need to just select this as no status right now. Okay, yeah. So let me just add the name as Luke Skywalker. Okay, let's create the project. Okay, there we go. So now the project has been created. So then you see like this new dashboard for a particular project. So on the top, you've got emails, invoices, forms, appointments, workflows, tasks, and notes, right? Now, let's say I want to create a proposal. I need to figure out a way. Man, I gotta say, it shouldn't be this hard to find how to create a proposal. I don't think you can create a proposal in Dubsado, which would be a shame, right? I think the email is the proposal. Yeah, so they've got like this email editor where I can send it at 9 a.m. of my client's time, talking about SEO consulting project. And then, yeah, just add in my details and basically send it. This kind of sucks, right? Like you can't really create a proposal. All right, so let me now zoom out and look at how this works in Bonsai. So once you log into Bonsai, you get this interface similar to Dubsado in a way that you've got all the tools in here. You've got like a common search bar where you can search stuff. And this is like the dashboard where it shows project timeline, profit loss, all of the activity stuff, right? I gotta say that this is a more minimalistic interface. This is a little bit more positive, right? And let's say if I want to add a client, I just go in here and click on the client, right? I think which is a lot easier. So let me just do that. So when I add, click on clients, it opens a dashboard. And I basically clicked on the new client and it basically shows me this, right? Now, again, I think they've thought this through, right? You can be working with an individual or a business. So the company name is optional, but the contact name is needed, right? So let me add a contact in here called Star Wars. I might already have this in here. Or let me, yeah, let's click Star Wars, Luke, Luke at starwars.com. Now you can also add tags. So let me put the tag as lead. And I'm just going to click on add client. Now, once I create a lead, it opens up this page where even though it looks empty right now, it actually becomes it becomes like a command center once you actually start working with your clients. So you can see all of your projects you're working on here, all of the details about the contacts in the company, the information. You can see all of the invoices, notes, any forms they've filled, all of that, right? Kind of similar to Dubsado's interface. The only difference is that this is a little bit more minimalistic and intuitive, right? Now now I want to create a proposal for them, right? So how do I do that? So there's two things. One is you see proposals right here. You can just click on it, or you can just click here new and then just create a proposal. And I love this aspect, right? Because I don't have to just go around and searching for things, right? This bar is always going to be there. So let me create a proposal here. All right. Now, Bonsai provides a lot of really cool templates, proposal templates, right? And they've got a very good proposal editor. So let me just show you that real quick. Now, they've got proposal templates, quote templates, estimates. You can also filter this by industry, right? So I'm a marketing consultant. Let me look at marketing templates. So they've got a brand strategy, brand ambassador, digital marketing estimate, and they've also got like a blank proposal. So in case you just want to create something from scratch, you can do that as well. And you can see they've got a lot of templates. So within photography, they've got a photography specific template. If you're in consulting, you've got specific consulting related template, right? So sometimes you might even find a template that's not in marketing, it's in one of these. It's up to you, right? I'm gonna, let's say, take something that's a little bit more minimalistic that I might like. Oh, I wonder if there was a way to search, and I believe there is. So let me search for an SEO template. Ah, there we go. So we've got an SEO proposal. So I'm going to use this one. So you can also preview a template. All right. So this is what the preview looks like. And so you've got the name, the company name, introduction, overview and goals, my services, summary, testimonials, next steps, all of that. I'm going to use this template. Okay. Now I need to select the client. So I'm going to take the client as, so in my case, here's the client Star Wars. So I'm going to select Star Wars. I'm going to say, I'm going to call this project SEO consultant. Now, when you come in here, the first thing you'll see is that automatically your logo shows up in here, right? Of course, the colors don't match, and I probably chose like the wrong colors, but I can actually change that. So let me just change the background color to something that's a little bit more to my kind of theme, right? Okay, so I have some blue color in here. I'm going to change the text color to black. I think this is fine. And let me take the font. I don't like this font. So I'm going to take this, change it to my font. So let's say if they have the Google Fonts library, I'm going to look for Libre Franklin. They do. So I'm going to select that. Okay. So now we've got something better. Now within the header also, I don't like this background. So I'm going to change this to something that's a little bit more. Let's kind of see if I have a nice color. Let me take this one. By the tool that I just used is called Text Place. I have a separate review for that. But anyway, so you've got, let me select this. Okay, so now we've got this background in here. And I also don't like the image. So I can change the image. But my point is that you've got a ton of options in here. Here's where you can change the image. You can edit it however you want, right? I'm just going to put this as 10 years, Star Wars.com, right? And then I can add in stuff here. Now, this is where things get interesting. So within this, you can actually add your own particular items, right? So they have a section where you can set up your fee structures, right? So let's say I want to change the fee structure to, you can choose a single option, you can choose packages, you can give a multi-select option. So I'm going to give a single option. And within that, I can also give them. So let's say if they want channel ownership or fractional support, I can just do that and bam, all of those things in here, everything added, and it all adds up in here. And I can change whatever currency I want. So it's pretty great. You can try out different things. So they've got a pretty good proposal editor, it shows a bad theme. I could change that, but anyway. And if you've got a proposal that you like, you can keep reusing that by duplicating the proposal. You can also download the PDF and send it as email, or you can just save this as a template. All right, so this is how you're going to send a proposal in Bonsai. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, but either Dubsado doesn't have proposals, or it's really hard to find proposals. Either way is a big negative for me. So I think in this round, definitely Bonsai wins. Now let's look at creating contracts, right? So within Dubsado, once you are within a client dashboard, you can just click in here and add a contract. So you can either choose one of these contracts, you can choose to have not a contract, or you can upload a PDF file as a signed contract, right? So you have these two customizations. I don't have a contract, so I'm just going to use one of their contracts. Okay, so now in here, you can add your logo. I'd have to figure this bit out, what to add in here. Yeah, that's not good because I want those legalities in there. Sure, you can create a contract and you can have e-signature capabilities, but I want pre-written contract details in here, which I don't think Dubsado has. So I'm just going to, let's say, keep it like this. And now I can either copy the link to the contract or open the contract or send the contract or edit the contract. That's how the whole contracts thing works. And it's added in here. That's how contracts works in Dubsado. Now, contracts. One is we go in here and select contracts. So let me use that option now. Okay. Now this is where you can see your full list of contracts, right? Whichever one that you like. You can also create like your own contract template. So let me show you how you create a new contract. And just FYI, whenever you want to also create a contract, you don't want to use this list, you can just click in here. So this basically opens up a new contract, while this kind of opens up your existing contracts. Then you go to the new contract. So I'm going to click on new contract in here. Okay. So now they have a bunch of templates. One is like a standard template, which you can't really edit much. And then there are like these contract templates for specific professionals. So let's say I'm going to look for SEO. So they've got a contract for SEO consulting and for search engine optimization standardized, right? So an editable and standardized contract. We're going to look at both. Now they've suggested certain templates. So I don't know how, but they've figured out that I either need a blank contract or an SEO consulting contract or a marketing contract. Perhaps because of the project name or something, that's how they find it out, right? So I'm gonna create a standardized contract. I'm gonna choose the client, or select the project SEO consulting. I can choose something else too, but let's just stick with that. Okay, so now they've got like a really nice contract maker that allows you to customize the contract by just filling forms in there, right? And just getting rid of that difficult legal jargon. Okay, even though they give a disclaimer that they don't either officially support your country and this is a generic contract and you should consult a lawyer. But even despite this, it becomes a lot easier. So let's say I'm going to say I'm a contractor, I'm based in the US. I'm going to select a country, let's say California. I work as a consultant. I work through a company. It can be a limited liability, an LLC or a corp or a sole proprietorship, partnership, however you want to do that. You can also not have a company, right? And just keep it as a consultant contract. So let me just keep it like that. And you can say my client is a company or a person. So it completely depends on the client. If you're a wedding planner, a person makes more sense. If you're let's say a digital marketing expert, you could use a company. So I'm just going to stick to company in here. Now, what am I the consulting being hired to do? So I'm just going to write, I just added it. I want to audit their site and give a SEO strategy to scale their website's traffic. You can also add an additional statement of work file. I don't want to add that. And they also give you these tips. Refer to yourself as the client, your client as the client. The clearer you define your work, the better, which is great. It protects you as freelancers. It takes a side. So I'm going to click on continue. Now I can decide what pricing structure that I should choose. And this is where Bonsai's contracts go really, really deep and super well, right? Depending on your use case, right? So you can choose a flat fee in milestones, an hourly rate, or daily rate, a weekly rate, a monthly rate, a per word rate, right? And this is where these small things make a tool very relevant, right? Now, if you're, let's say, a content writer, right? You often use a per word rate. But let's say you're a SEO consultant, you might have a flat fee for a audit, right? Or if you're, let's say, working as a contractor to a company, a full-time contractor, you might have a monthly rate or a weekly rate or an hourly rate, right? So you can set that. In this case, I'm going to stick to a flat fee of 4,000 USD. I can also choose any other thing. They also give these small tips. Not sure what to charge, use our freelance rate explorer. And they have this awesome explorer where they basically have like a database of rates. How much should you be charging? So let's say this is mainly for design development right now, not for marketing, it seems. But if I'm a developer, full stack, 1 to 3 years West Coast, it basically says that most people charge whatever, $8 to $100 an hour. It's good. Make sure that you're not undercharging. Now you can also add before work starts, the client will pay me a deposit fee, the client has this. So it takes care of little things. Like you can also have like if either party ends the contract early, the client will pay a prorated amount or a flat fee. This contract will start and will end when the scope of work is complete or on a specific date. You can add a late payment fee. You can give a timeline for the client to clear the invoice. You can ask for an advance deposit at the end of the project or something. So I'm going to create this contract. I'm going to take $500 as an advance. Now, they give you that information that you should be asking at least 20 to 50% of the total contract budget, which is great advice. You know what? I'm going to take that advice and put this as 2000, which is 50%, and click on create contract. Now, this is where the kind of automations and workflows can set up. I'll get into that a bit, but you can, while creating the contract, you can also set up workflows where when a contract is signed, Bonsai can schedule invoices automatically on your behalf. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to stop this and click on continue. And bam, you have a no nonsense contract with all legalities covered. Your contract between the client and the consultant. I didn't add this, but I think it's like when I sign and when they sign, it automatically pre-fills it. The schedule, the flat fee, like all of the things covered in a no nonsense contract. And then either party sign the contract, you get updated, and then that's it. That's all you need. You can also kind of change like the font of the contract. You can display your logo, you can not display your logo, right? Whatever works for you. You can also have a co-signature requirement. So right now for me, this is I'm getting a contract signed from you. But again, let's say if you're working with people, let's say you're working again as a wedding planner, you might have to get a signature from the husband and the wife or the two partners, right? So then you can have a co-signature as well, right? You can also add addendums, add clauses, there's all sorts of things. Then you can put this in your automation. So anyway, I think Bonsai's contracts are like absolutely amazing. Like it's exactly what I want. It's no nonsense. It covers everything. And I think it's probably the best freelance contracting tool in the market. And I think that's how these guys got popular as well. So this wins over Dubsado because Dubsado didn't cover the legal aspects. You got to figure those out. They don't even have they don't give you advice about how to create those contracts, and I don't want to waste my time there. And from that perspective, like Bonsai takes care of that, and I just give it to Bonsai on this. Bonsai wins this round. Now we're going to look at invoicing capabilities. So within this client panel, I just go into invoices. And now let's see how to create an invoice. So relatively simpler. So I click here. Okay, so now you can add invoice number, the title, the date. You can start time tracking on it. You can add certain packages. You can send it via email, copy a link, open it in a new window. You can also refund an invoice or close an invoice. Now let's say I want to add a new item, SEO order, the website one. Okay, so now I've added the item name, description, I've added the tax. I can also add a discount if I want, but I'm not going to add that right now. I can also put it in a categories. Let's say it's sales. Let's create this invoice. Okay, I'm going to add this item to my invoice. All right, there we go. So now this has been added. I can also add a note. I added the note. I've included the tax in my final price. Might have raised that concern. Oh, oh, okay. So it adds the tax in here. So this note isn't relevant. But anyway, so you can do that. And then what's interesting is that they offer a lot of interesting payment plans. So you can either do the payment across 3 installments. You can do it 50-50. You can do it fixed deposit. Right now, you can ask for a payment in full. So 3 installments, what does that look like? So I think what they do is it's 30-30-20 or 33%, 33%, 33%, and it's 0 days, like initial advance, 3 days before the project start date, this much, and then 1 month before the start date, this much, right? So this is pretty good actually. Now the next thing you can do is you can set up recurring invoices. Okay, so now I can add a recurring invoice in here. I just add clicking on add here, and then I can send this every month. Maybe I want to do SEO maintenance work, right? So I can do that, starts every day, and then maybe do it. Maybe it's a 6 month project, so I can put a date to it. I can also add packages. So let's kind of look at what an hourly package looks like, right? So $50 per month, and let's say I logged 20 hours. It automatically updates to 1,000, all of that. And this one can be paying in full. So you can start the reckoning from in here. Now let's look at refunds. So I guess in here, if you issue any kind of refund, you could do that. And it shows how much amount was refunded. On the invoice options, you can accept a lot of different kind of options. PayPal, bank payments. I think they have a couple of others, which I'll just show you in a bit. You can also override this, right? So let's say I'm willing to not accept from credit cards, but bank payments and gratuity is fine. I could do that. And then the last thing is you can also add expenses into a client, right? So let's take software subscription. So my Ahrefs subscription costs $199 per month. I paid it through credit card. Let's say it was 28th August. Subscription software. I'm guessing this will be used for deductibles later, but I'm just going to add the expense in here. And there we go. So this was added in here. Just makes things easy. So that's how invoices work. And again, you can set up payment options and everything. Now let me show you how invoices work in Bonsai. First of all, to create an invoice, you can either again go to the new or just select the option in here for invoices. And it opens up this. Now I can either create a single invoice, a recurring invoice, or a bundled invoice. So let me just show you the simple thing, the single invoice. Let me select Star Wars again, and let's create an invoice. Okay, there we go. So now the invoice is very minimalistic and no nonsense, which I really like, right? So you've got your name automatically filled out, your client's name automatically filled out. Now you can also add items in here. So let's say I want to add advisory, and I'm going to add fractional support. That's to this. I'm going to add 18% tax, which is GST. I can also change the tax. I can add expenses. I can add a discount. Automatically adds this in here. It adds my GST number. It adds late fees. You can add an attachment, a file attachment. And now the reason why all of these options are provided is, let's say you have to give a deliverable. If it's a file, you can add that in here and basically lock that file attachment until the client pays the invoice, which is a really cool feature, especially because when you deliver the work, you don't have anything and the client has everything, right? So the client, when they by paying, they can get access. And I think that's a really cool feature. You could download this PDF, you could duplicate it. Now, on the payments aspect, you can have a simplified payments page or you can have an aligned payment page. Not sure what's the difference. I think I think it's a user interface perspective. If you want to add more payment options. Now you can select a couple of things. You can allow partial payments and invoices. You can allow tipping after an invoice is paid. I think this is pretty useful. Sometimes a client is so happy they tip you, especially with content writing related stuff. You can show your project name and client invoices. You can lock attachments until invoice is paid, which is what I was telling you earlier. You can hide units. You can use 3 decimal values on invoice rate, especially let's say if you're invoicing on a per word rate, like writers do. And you can also show other payment option, which is more if you're using a payment option that's not available within Bonsai, right? Let's say you want payment through TransferWise or Wise, that's how they call it. You can just do that in other, right? So in here, let's say I'm just gonna click on bank account. So yeah. Also, just to show you, Bonsai offers these payment options. So it provides payments through cards, Visa, American Express, Discover, MasterCard. It provides to bank transfer or PayPal. This is through Bonsai's own payment portal called Bonsai Cash, where they say that you get much faster payouts, transparent pricing, no hidden fees, convenient options for clients, and it just basically tracks all of the expenses and payments and income within Bonsai, so it helps you later into your tax purposes and analytics about your business and everything. Of course, you can choose to also offer any other payment option. Now, one thing I forgot to point out is that in Dubsado, you can also kind of create new templates for payment plans, right? If you want a 20, 30, 40 kind of a payment schedule, you can also do that. And Dubsado offers these 3 payment options: Stripe, Square, PayPal. So let's just do an analysis about the invoicing between Bonsai and Dubsado. So first of all, Bonsai offers more payment options versus Dubsado. Even though Dubsado offers Stripe, Bonsai seemingly doesn't. So I don't know. I think it works either way. And I think Dubsado's invoicing capabilities are actually quite good. Bonsai's, I like Bonsai's invoicing interface, right? And I really like the options they provide. It's similar to what Dubsado is, but I think Dubsado is equally strong on the invoices side. So I don't think there's a winner on either. I think it's a tie between Dubsado and Bonsai. The next thing we're going to look at is just all of the additional features that both these tools provide. So let's look at Dubsado, right? So one of the things that I liked about Dubsado is that first of all, you can set up a financial goal, right? So within your freelancing journey, let's say you have a goal that hey, you want to get to 200K by the end of this year, right? Like it keeps showing you that, so it keeps you motivated that this was my goal, right? And you are motivated every day to reach that goal, and I like that. And then it also gives you like this indicator that how much the revenue is going to be this month based on the activity in the last 30 days. Shows you the open invoices, how your income and expenses and profits are looking like, all of that, right? Now, Dubsado has a very nice calendar scheduling tool. So let me show you that real quick. So it basically has like its own calendar built in, and you can basically put in dates. Let's say, for example, I can put in that between 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on this day, I'm just going to work on this task. So it allows you to schedule your work over time. You can also sync your Google Calendar so that any kind of events that are on your Google Calendar show up in here, or you can go and filter through in here. Like I said, that they have a calendar scheduler, right? It's currently in beta right now, but let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so it's kind of like a mini Calendly built inside Dubsado, except that it's made by the team at Dubsado. And you can create a template of your call, so you can create multiple calls, right? So maybe if you want to do a free consultation, you can do a free consultation of 15 minutes. And then you can set the times where you are willing to accept the call. You can also send an email right after the call, just be like, hey, thanks for scheduling a call. Can you fill this form so that I have more details before I actually come in? Or you can actually send the your appointment link via email through one of these tools. And they have a lot of interesting settings in here, right? You can choose to not take any bookings at least within 12 hours, right? Because it might be too short notice. You can have a buffer time between meetings. You can also choose to have a maximum number of calls per day. You can also set the number of times the scheduler can be done. Maybe you allocate that, hey, I'm gonna do 20 free consultations for the month, and that's it. And once you max out, you're sure you save your time, right? So you can do that. You can send a welcome message, you can send a confirmation email, you can also send an additional form to get further insights. Once somebody schedules a call, you can redirect it to your own page or something, or a resource. You can also ask for some payment before somebody schedules a call, right? So if somebody wants to do a one-off consulting call, you can actually ask for a payment. You can also set up reminder notification emails, right? That, hey, 2 days before your call, or an hour before your call, that, hey, our call is scheduled in the coming month. And then you can do all of these kind of things, right? And I found this really useful. You can also create these scheduler groups, all of that. And just to show you what the scheduler looks like for the client, so it's like a very minimalistic interface where you can select in here, you can choose a time, and there's no Dubsado branding anywhere, by the way. So let's say I'm going to select the 10 a.m. slot. I'm going to add in my name, and then it just takes you to the invoice to pay for it. So I think it's pretty good. Big thumbs up on that. Let's look at what Bonsai's appointment scheduler looks like. Now, Bonsai's appointment scheduler you can find in here in the menu, right? And you can create multiple different types of events, right? So I've got 25 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, 15 minutes. Let me create a new one, right? So you can call it something. You can choose to have it video conferencing, phone call, in person. Like sometimes business development happens in person, right? So in that case, this makes sense. You can put it as Google Meet, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, whatever. You can put the duration, you can change the link, you can send a confirmation email to the client. I'm not sure if you can change the content of the email of that client, but anyway. So let me show you an existing one. I'm going to create SEO consulting. Yeah, so let's continue. I can set up my availability. What I like in here is, again, you can set a particular time that, hey, I want to take calls between 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Right now, it's already preset based on the availability that I've set. But you can also block off times, like in between. I don't want this time. I don't want this time. So it just works pretty well. And you can also link it to your Google Calendar, so it removes those slots as well. Now, again, you can schedule up to a certain time, right? Like 30 days in the future, 40 days, 60 days for a year. You can restrict invitees to not book events in short notice. You can have a buffer time. You can also ask additional questions. You can send a reminder email. And lastly, you can actually change the look and feel of your page, right? So they've got different templates like standard, classic, sunrise, all of that. You can also have your own custom profile image and you can remove Bonsai's branding. That makes it completely your page. So let me show you what that looks like. So this is what the scheduler looks like. It's a little bit more stylish and modern than what Dubsado had. Now, if you don't remove Bonsai's branding, it's going to show up right here. And you can actually remove this, and this will be completely your kind of page. So you can select the time, confirm, add in your name, email, and then schedules the event, right? I like this interface. So overall, in the appointment schedulers, I think both are pretty strong. Bonsai's appointment scheduler, at least from the outside, looks more modern versus Dubsado's from the look and feel of it. But Bonsai's scheduler doesn't allow you to send emails, customize the emails in terms of the confirmation email or the welcome email or a follow up reminder email, all of that. While Dubsado allows you to do that, even though their appointment scheduler on the outside, on the client side, looks professional. It's not as modern Bonsai, but it still looks professional. But they actually provide a lot more features in their scheduling tool. So I gotta say that Dubsado wins this round versus Bonsai. Another thing we're gonna look at now is white labeling. How much can you white label in Dubsado and how much can you white label in Bonsai, right? So within Dubsado, I've observed they have a lot of white labeling features available, right? So first you can put your logo, your colors, all of that. This is pretty straightforward. You can also change the domain name, right? So you can do custom URL mapping. So instead of the dubsado.com, it can show as your domain. Okay, and you can remove any branding related to Dubsado, be it their brand logo, their username, everything. So it would literally feel like somebody is logging into your domain and your dashboard. And it's pretty awesome, I gotta say. And by the way, you can also have your own portal for clients. And again, that can be customized. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I can just say that it's a whole white labeling solution. Now, Bonsai also allows you to do white labeling. It's part of a higher price plan, but you can basically put a company logo. You can add a header image. You can have branded colors. You can remove Bonsai's branding. But what you cannot do is change the URL. Okay. I don't know if in their more advanced white labeling plans, you can also change the URL. I'm not sure because I'm on their professional plan. But at least right now, with the professional plan, right? Dubsado's free plan also allows you to change the custom URL, while within my pro plan, which I think I'm paying like $29 a month, I don't get that, right? And I think that's uh, a slight disadvantage, in my opinion, especially if you're, let's say, working with clients or big companies and you don't want them to know that you're using another platform. And if you want to look like a Fortune 500 company or like at least a mature business, sometimes white labeling is needed, a full white label solution, which Bonsai doesn't have. It's not bad. I think it customizes everything, but the URL kind of remains, right? So I'd say like with Bonsai's white labeling is maybe like a 7 or an 8 out of 10, while Dubsado is like a full 10 on 10. So I think Dubsado wins this round as well. Another thing I'm going to point out is that in terms of mobile apps, so Dubsado does not have an iOS app. In fact, they don't have a mobile app at all, be it for Android and iOS. They say that it's being built, but I think it's been there for a while, which kind of sucks, right? Especially if you're on the field a lot of times and you just don't have your laptop always. That doesn't work. right? Bonsai has an Android app as well as an iOS app, and they've got like amazing ratings for that as well. It's like a 4.4, and it has all of the basics you would need being on the move, be it able to track your time, look at login expenses, look at your invoices, managing your invoices, and all of that, right? So I think in this case, Bonsai wins. It's a huge advantage to just have an iOS app, and they have a very well built iOS and an Android app. Another thing that I would look at is workflows, right? So now within Dubsado, you can just go into templates and find workflows. And here, let's say you want to create a workflow where you want to, let's create a workflow. So I create a a new workflow. I put a name. I'm going to edit it, right? So let's say I want to create a workflow when somebody pays in full, and I want to add an action saying send an email with a scheduling invitation, right? So they've got, like I said, they've got a lot of different options for creating different kind of workflows, right? So this is what the workflow that I created looks like. You can edit it, you can update workflows, all of that. Now, this is a simpler workflow. Let me show you how complex it can get if you want to create like a really advanced workflow. So this is the sample workflow that Dubsado team created. You can have certain actions, send an email, and from that email, create a to-do, a task, and from that task, once that is completed, you can send a form. Once that form is completed, you can send a questionnaire. Once that questionnaire is completed, you can create an invoice or send a thank you email. So like lots of different things. So you can create like a multi-step workflow. I gotta say I don't like the user interface that much, right? Because usually it'd just be a lot more easier if it's a little bit more visual workflow where you can actually see the steps in a visual view. That's just my thinking behind Dubsado. Now let me show you how workflows works in Bonsai. So this is what workflows looks like. Now workflow, like creating a workflow is slightly different in Bonsai. So if you want to create a specific workflow individually, like you can just go into clients and then within there, there's an automation section and you can just click on new automation. And then it's more like a Zapier kind of interface, which I find a little bit easier, but it's also limiting. So for example, there's a trigger. So when a contract is signed by the client or when a proposal is accepted or when a form is filled out, let's say when a form is filled out, you can schedule an event using Bonsai, schedule a meeting via Calendly, send a form, message, all of that, right? You can put the event and basically save it. So it's simpler. You can't create multiple workflows, but I like the interface of it, right? So this is like the way to create a workflow specifically. They also have inbuilt workflows within product. In one of the previous things that I was showing you about Bonsai in the video, when you create a contract, you can also kind of have a workflow within that, that when someone kind of signs the contract, you can automatically send invoices, right? So that's built into the feature, right? So they've got a lot of those automations built into the feature. So you don't have to figure out creating like these really advanced workflows. You can just go into the product and just make those changes, which I think is a different approach. So just to summarize, I think both have really powerful advanced workflows and automations. Dubsado has a more traditional approach where you can create like this multi-step workflow and you basically become like this automation guru. While in Bonsai, the workflows are built into the products, right? So you don't have to go in and like really understand how to create a visual builder. You can just trigger options on wherever specific things are there, right? So I think it's just a matter of like how you like it, right? So If you're somebody who has like a very specific set workflow and everything, right, and you want exactly that, Dubsado is probably the better option for workflows. But if you're somebody who just wants simplicity and just wants automation throughout the process, right, and you're not very specific on a workflow, then Bonsai is actually a great option. It makes things very simple. Right. So finally, let's look at the pricing between Dubsado and Bonsai. So Dubsado has pretty simple pricing. They've got two pricing plans, Starter and Premier. Starter is $20 a month, which gives you unlimited projects, invoicing, payment plan features, forms and email templates, while Premier has the workflows and the scheduling tools and basically the full experience of Dubsado. Now, Bonsai's pricing is slightly more expensive. So it starts at $24 per month. Dubsado is 20, and where you have again unlimited clients and projects, invoicing, but they also have proposals, right? And they give you scheduling features, which was in their Premier plan, right? So I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison. Their starter plan actually has a lot of stuff that Dubsado has in their Premier plans. It's really just a 24 to 40 comparison. $24 a month of Bonsai versus $40 per month of Dubsado. Now, what I haven't covered in this comparison is that just the amount of tools and features that Bonsai provides versus Dubsado. And I'll just tell you a bunch of differences. First is Bonsai provides proposals, Dubsado doesn't. Bonsai has amazing forms and questionnaires. Dubsado also has them, but I think they're relatively basic. Like Bonsai's forms are more type form level, very beautiful looking with a lot of good options in there, while Dubsado's forms look a little basic. The other thing is that you get many more integrations with Bonsai, right? So within Bonsai, let me count them out. Bonsai has integration to 12 apps, while Dubsado has integration to just 4 apps. So you get a lot more integrations. And Bonsai also has certain additional add on tools that can complement your freelancing business journey, right? So they have a tax assistant that allows you to identify tax write offs. You can track your expenses, estimate quarterly taxes, and even file them. And I think it's a really good assistant. You can also add unlimited collaborators, right? So collaborators have limited access to your Bonsai dashboard. You can also add partners, which are literally like full users. They have full access. So this works when you're going from a one person business to like more of a micro agency or an agency, basically, right? And then within the business plan, you start getting a lot more features like subcontractor management and onboarding and all sorts of things, right? So my take generally is this. I think Bonsai is definitely better if you're looking for more value for money, right? So for $40 a month, you get everything. In fact, for $39 a month, and you get more features, more integrations, a much better user interface than Dubsado, right? And so that's why I feel like if those are your priorities, I think Bonsai is fantastic. Bonsai also gives you a mobile app. Bonsai's contract builder is much more featured and advanced than Dubsado's. You basically have like a lawyer in your hand who's vetting all of the information and creating that contract for you. While in Dubsado, you'll have to do more work to research all of that. So I think Bonsai works for people who just want like a full solution. You really care about how your brand looks like to your clients. You really want to look like a featured business, and you also want to eliminate a lot of tools. If you're using a toggle for tracking, time tracking, and if you're using a Calendly for your calendar scheduling, and if you're using a different tool for accounting and a different tool for project management, a different tool for proposals and contracts, you basically get rid of all of those subscription and you get Bonsai, right? Dubsado, on the other hand, I think where their strengths are is that first of all, their invoicing features are really advanced. I think Dubsado is also great if you're very particular about white labeling, right? If you want your the URL also to be specific to your brand, if you want every little aspect of your overall freelance journey to be tailored to your brand, and you really want to go super deep into it, then I think Dubsado is great for you. Dubsado is also great if you don't want to spend $39, if you just want to spend whatever dollars, then they have a lower price plan. So I think that works. But in general, if you ask for my opinion, I think I just find Bonsai like way better than Dubsado. This is my personal opinion. Like I said, their user interface absolutely amazing. Their Once you kind of log in, it's so minimalistic and it's just so obvious to find what you need. Even in terms of features, you get more. In terms of maturity of tools and solutions, you get more, right? And just from, I think, those purposes, like whenever a freelancer comes to me asking for recommendations, I always tell them Bonsai, right? So that's my analysis. Ultimately, the choice is yours. I've given you all of the options in here. Now, if you're thinking of buying Bonsai or Dubsado, please consider buying the tools using my affiliate links in the description below. It won't cost you anything extra, but it will help fund the efforts for me to create these videos and help you make better decisions, right? We value honesty over anything else, right? So I'm not that if I pick one tool or the other, I'm an affiliate of both tools or I'm an affiliate of not. It really doesn't matter. It's really about just helping you take the best decision. And that's what we strive for, right? So if you like the video, please like, share, this video. We also create a lot of other software reviews and comparisons. So please consider subscribing to our channel as well. And either way, I hope this video is helpful and I hope I was able to help you take a decision between if you should buy Bonsai or Dubsado. I wish you a wonderful day.